My dad's phone buzzed at dinner. The lock screen was a photo of him with a woman and two kids I'd never seen before. His phone lit up at the worst possible moment. We were all at the table. Mom, Dad, me, family dinner like every Tuesday. The buzz was loud, the screen was bright, and I was sitting right next to him. I saw everything. A woman with dark hair, two kids, a boy and a girl, and my dad, his arm around her waist, smiling bigger than I'd seen him smile in years. He grabbed the phone so fast he knocked over his water glass. Shoot. He mopped it up with his napkin, shoved the phone in his pocket, didn't explain. Who was that? I asked. The photo, on your phone. He laughed, forced. Stock photo, came with a case I'm reviewing. My dad's a lawyer. He lies for a living. But he'd never lied to me. At least I thought he hadn't. Mom didn't notice anything. She kept talking about her sister's wedding. I nodded along, but my mind was somewhere else. The way he had his arm around that woman. The way those kids stood in front of them. Like they'd done it 100 times. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing it. The woman's face, the little girl's smile. Something about her looked familiar. I told myself I was crazy. Stock photo, client case, made sense. But it didn't make sense. Why would a stock photo be his lock screen? I became obsessed. Watched him constantly. He kept his phone on him at all times now. Face down, ringer off. He took calls in the car, in the garage, never in the house. His work trips were every other weekend, sometimes back to back. Mom never questioned it. I started digging when he wasn't home. Found credit card statements in his desk. Charges in a town 2 hours away. Groceries. Gas. A place called Little Stars Dance Studio. I found a second phone in his briefcase. A burner. Prepaid. One contact saved. M. I found an insurance document he forgot to shred. Beneficiaries listed: Michelle Torres, Sophie Torres, Jack Torres, Torres. That's not our last name. Then one night I got lucky. He fell asleep on the couch, phone on the table. I unlocked it with my birthday. His camera roll made me sick. Hundreds of photos. The woman, the kids, vacations I wasn't invited to, birthdays I didn't know existed. A photo of him kissing her in front of a house I'd never seen. A caption in his notes: 12-year anniversary. 12 years, I'm 19. He started this family when I was 7 years old. I found his texts with her. Michelle, can't wait for this weekend. Kids miss their daddy. His reply: tell Sophie and Jack I love them. Home Friday. Home. He called it home. I put the phone back, walked to my room, closed the door, sat in the dark for 2 hours. I had a brother and sister I'd never met, and my dad had been lying to me my entire life. A week passed. I walked around like a ghost, smiled at dinner, laughed at Dad's jokes, pretended everything was fine. But I was drowning. I kept thinking about Sophie and Jack. Did they know about me? Did they think they were his only kids? Did Michelle know he had another family 2 hours away? I couldn't hold it anymore. One night, Mom and I were alone. Dad was gone. Work trip. I sat her down in the living room. I need to show you something. She looked confused. What is it? I handed her my phone. The folder was already open. Every screenshot, every photo, every piece of evidence I'd collected. Dad has a second family, a woman named Michelle, 2 kids, Sophie and Jack. It's been going on for 12 years. I was shaking, waiting for her to cry, to scream, to throw something. She didn't. She just kept scrolling. When she finished, she handed the phone back, looked me dead in the eye. I was wondering when you'd find out. I can't speak. My mouth opens, but nothing comes out. Mom sits there looking at me with this calm face like she just told me what's for dinner instead of destroying my entire world. The living room feels too small suddenly. The couch where I'm sitting, the chair where she's sitting, the coffee table between us with my phone still lying there showing all those photos. Everything feels wrong. Like I stepped into a different house where nothing makes sense anymore. My hands start shaking first, then my legs. I press my palms against my knees trying to make it stop, but I can't. Mom reaches toward me, but I jerk back so fast I almost fall off the couch. She pulls her hand back and folds both hands in her lap. Her face doesn't change. Still calm, still waiting. How long? My voice sounds weird. Too high. Too shaky. Mom looks down at her hands, studies them like she's never seen them before. 8 years. I found out when you were 11. The math hits me like a punch. 11. I was in 6th grade. That was the year I joined the debate team. The year I got braces. The year Mom helped me study for every test because I was struggling with pre-algebra. She knew the whole time. Through middle school. Through high school. Through my graduation last year where she cried and hugged me and told me how proud she was. You knew through everything. I'm not asking, just stating it. My first boyfriend, getting my license, college applications. You knew Dad had another family the entire time. Yes. She doesn't try to explain it away, doesn't make excuses. How? The word comes out too loud, too angry. How did you find out? Mom shifts in her chair. I suspected for a while before that. The late nights, the weekend trips, the way he'd smile at his phone and then hide it. So I hired someone, a private investigator. He followed your father for 3 weeks and confirmed everything. A private investigator. She hired someone to follow Dad around. She got proof. She saw photos probably just like the ones I found. And then she just, what? Came home and made dinner? Helped me with homework? Pretended everything was fine? Why didn't you leave? My voice breaks on the last word. Mom finally looks up at me. Her eyes are dry. No tears. I made a choice. For you. For stability. For me? I laugh, but it sounds wrong. Harsh. You stayed for me? Leaving would have meant splitting everything. The house, your father's income. You would have had to change schools, move to a smaller place. I couldn't do that to you during such important years. She says it so calmly, like she's explaining a business decision, like she's talking about choosing a car or picking a vacation spot. Not about staying married to a man who was living with another woman, raising other kids. That's not fair. I stand up. Can't sit anymore. Need to move. You don't get to blame me for your choice. I'm not blaming you. Mom stands too. I'm explaining why I stayed. You were my priority. Keeping your life stable was my priority. My life wasn't stable. The words explode out of me. My life was a lie. Every single day was a lie. Dad was lying. You were lying. I was the only one who didn't know I was living in a fake family. Mom tries to step toward me, but I back away. My hip hits the coffee table and my phone slides off onto the floor. Neither of us moves to pick it up. How could you lie to me every single day for 8 years? My voice shakes, so hard I can barely get the words out. How could you watch me trust him? Love him? Think we were a normal family? Because you were happy. Mom's voice cracks for the first time. You were doing well in the school. You had friends. You were thriving. I couldn't take that away from you. You did take it away. Just 8 years late. I'm yelling now. Can't stop. You're just as bad as him. You made me live in this fake reality where everything was fine. Mom reaches for my arm, but I yank away so hard I stumble backward. She looks hurt. Actually hurt. But she doesn't deny what I said. Just stands there with her hand still half raised. Does Dad know? The question comes out quieter. Does he know you know? Mom drops her hand. No. The word hangs in the air between us. No. Which means she's been playing a role too. Pretending to believe his work trip excuses. Acting surprised when he comes home late. Kissing him goodbye every time he leaves for the weekend to go be with them. You've been lying to him too. I can't believe it. Can't process it. This whole time you've been pretending. Yes. Mom sits back down. She looks tired suddenly. I've been pretending to believe him. Pretending I don't know. I stare at her. This woman who raised me. Who taught me to be honest. Who punished me when I lied about small things like finishing my homework or where I was going with friends. She's been living the biggest lie of all. I was the only honest person in this house. The realization makes me feel sick. I was the only one who didn't know. The only one not lying. Mom doesn't argue. Just sits there looking at me with sad eyes. Does he love her more than you? The question bursts out before I can stop it. Does Dad love Michelle more? Mom's face does something weird. Crumples. Like someone crushed a piece of paper. For the first time since this conversation started, she looks like she might cry. I don't know anymore. Maybe he loves us both. Maybe he loves neither of us. Maybe he's just selfish and wanted everything. Her pain looks real. Raw. But I can't feel sorry for her right now. Can't comfort her. She chose this. She chose to stay. She chose to lie to me for 8 years. You stayed because of money. I say it flat. Mean. You didn't want to lose the house, lose Dad's lawyer salary. That's why you stayed. That was part of it. Mom doesn't deny it. I couldn't maintain this life alone. The house, your school, everything. Your father's income provides things I couldn't give you by myself. So you sold out. The words taste bitter. You sold your self-respect for a house and a comfortable life. I made a choice I thought was best for you. No, I'm yelling again. You made a choice that was best for you. You didn't want to be divorced, didn't want to downgrade your life. So you stayed with a man who was living with another woman and you used me as an excuse. Mom flinches but doesn't argue. She knows I'm right. I can see it in her face. I grew up in a broken home anyway. My voice drops, gets quiet. I just grew up in one with better furniture, with family dinners that were complete lies, with a mom who knew my dad had other kids and never told me. Mom stands again. Please don't confront your father yet. I need time to figure out my next move now that you know. I laugh. Actually laugh. It sounds crazy even to me. You need time? You've had 8 years. Please. She looks scared now. Really scared. Just give me a few days to think. To plan. I'm not keeping your secrets anymore. I grab my phone off the floor. I'm done being the only one in the dark. Done protecting everyone else's lies. Please. Mom's voice breaks. Just a few days. I don't answer. Just turn and walk toward the stairs. She calls my name, but I don't stop. I take the stairs 2 at a time and slam my bedroom door so hard the walls shake. My hands shake as I pull out my phone and scroll to Madison's number. She answers on the second ring. Hey, what's up? I try to talk, but nothing comes out except this horrible choking sound. Then I'm crying. Actually sobbing. Can't breathe. Can't think. Hey. Hey, what's wrong? Madison's voice gets urgent. Worried. My dad. I manage to get out between sobs. He has another family, another wife, 2 kids, and my mom knew. She knew for 8 years. Silence. Complete silence. I pull the phone away to check if the call dropped, but it's still connected. I'm coming over. Madison's voice is firm, decided. Right now. I'm getting my keys. Okay. It's all I can say. Just okay. 20 minutes. Don't move. The call ends. I slide down the wall and sit on my floor. My room looks the same as it did this morning, but everything feels different. The photos on my dresser of me and Dad at my high school graduation. The birthday card he gave me last month. The debate trophy he helped me practice for. All lies. Everything was lies. I pull up my photos and start printing. Every screenshot I took of his phone. Every photo of Michelle and Sophie and Jack. I print them all on my little desk printer. The pages pile up around me on the floor. Evidence of 12 years of lies spread out in glossy ink. My door opens. Madison stands there. She's wearing sweatpants and a hoodie, and her hair is in a messy bun. She must have run out of her house the second we hung up. She looks at me sitting on the floor. Looks at all the photos scattered around me. Doesn't say anything. Just closes the door behind her and sits down next to me. She takes my hand. Just holds it. Doesn't try to talk. Doesn't ask questions. Just sits with me while I cry. Having someone here who isn't part of this mess. Who doesn't have secrets. Who just came because I needed her. It helps. Makes it possible to breathe again. We sit there on my bedroom floor surrounded by printed photos of my dad's secret life. Madison holds my hand. And for the first time since I saw that photo at dinner 2 weeks ago, I don't feel completely alone. We sit there for a while longer before I finally speak. The words come out rough, raw, like I haven't used my voice in days. I ask if she thinks I should meet them. Sophie and Jack. Madison doesn't answer right away. She squeezes my hand tighter. Then she says that's up to me, but they're real people. My half-siblings. I haven't let myself think about it like that. They've been names on documents, faces in photos, but they're actual kids. Sophie is 15, Jack is 10. They have lives and friends and probably no idea I exist. The thought makes my chest hurt. Madison says maybe I need more time to process everything before I decide anything. I nod, but I'm not sure time will make this easier. None. How do you process finding out your dad has been living 2 completely separate lives? That you have siblings you never knew about? That your mom knew and stayed anyway? Madison's phone buzzes and she checks it. Her mom is asking if I'm okay. Madison types back that we're talking. Then she looks at me and suggests something I wasn't expecting. She says her mom went through a bad divorce when Madison was in middle school. Really messy. Maybe talking to someone who's been through something similar would help. I don't want to tell more people about my family's mess. Don't want to sit in another living room and explain how broken everything is. But Madison's face is so hopeful, so worried. She just wants to help. I agree because I don't have the energy to argue. We go downstairs and find her mom in the living room. She's reading a book on the couch. Looks up when we come in. She can tell something is wrong immediately. Moms have that radar. Madison sits down next to her and I take the chair across from them. My hands won't stop shaking, so I sit on them. Madison tells her mom I'm going through something really hard and could use advice from someone who's been through a divorce. Her mom puts down her book, gives me this look that's kind and patient. She says she's happy to listen if I want to talk. So I tell her everything. Again. The photo at dinner. The investigation. Finding the second phone. The insurance documents. Michelle and Sophie and Jack. Confronting mom. Learning she knew for 8 years. It pours out of me and I can't stop. Her mom doesn't interrupt once. Just listens. Nods sometimes. When I finally finish, she's quiet for a minute. Then she says something that hits different from anything anyone else has said. She tells me my mom made a choice that a lot of people make when they find out about cheating, staying for money, for the kids, for stability. She says it's way more common than people want to admit, even if it's not healthy, even if it hurts everyone in the long run. I hate that this makes sense. Hate that there's a whole category of people who do exactly what my mom did, who choose comfortable lies over hard truths. Her mom explains that leaving a marriage is scary, really scary, especially when you have kids and you've built a whole life together. The money thing isn't just about being greedy, it's about survival, about not wanting to struggle, about being afraid of the unknown. But she also says that doesn't make it right. Doesn't mean my feelings aren't valid. I can be angry at my mom for lying even if I understand why she did it. The permission to be angry helps somehow. Makes me feel less guilty for hating what she did. Her mom asks what I want to happen now. The question stops me cold. I realize I don't actually know. Part of me wants to explode everything. Tell Michelle the truth. Meet Sophie and Jack. Watch Dad's perfect double life fall apart. Make him face what he's done to all of us. But another part of me wants to go back. Pretend I never saw that photo. Live in the lie because at least the lie felt safe. At least I knew my place in it. Her mom says both reactions are completely normal. That I don't have to decide everything right now. That it's okay to feel torn and confused and angry all at once. She tells me to take my time. Figure out what I need. Not what anyone else needs. What I need. I thank her, and she hugs me. A real hug. The kind that makes you feel like maybe things will be okay eventually, even if they're terrible right now. Madison walks me to my car around 11. The house is dark when I pull into the driveway. I almost keep driving. Almost turn around and go back to Madison's. But I force myself to the park. To walk to the front door. To go inside. Mom is in the kitchen. Sitting at the table in the dark. Just sitting there. Waiting. She looks exhausted. Older than she did this morning. She asks if we can talk more. I tell her I need space. Need time to process everything. She nods like she expected that answer. Says she understands. Then she adds that she's sorry I had to find out this way. Sorry she wasn't the one to tell me. I don't respond. Just go upstairs to my room and close the door. Lock it. Slide down to the floor with my back against it. The next few days blur together. I avoid both parents as much as possible. Sleep at Madison's house. Spend hours at the library pretending to study. Come home only when I have to. Dad tries to act normal at dinner. Asks about my classes. Tells stupid jokes. I can barely look at him. Can barely sit at the same table. Mom watches me constantly. Her eyes follow me around the house. Worried. Guilty. But she doesn't push. Doesn't try to force conversations I'm not ready for. I start researching Michelle online. I know it's probably not healthy, but I can't stop myself. I find her Facebook profile. It's mostly private, but her profile picture is public. Her and Sophie and Jack at a beach somewhere. All three of them laughing. They look like a normal, happy family. Like the kind of family you see in commercials. It makes me feel like the outsider. Like I'm the secret. The mistake. The family he's stuck with while his real family lives 2 hours away. I find Sophie's Instagram next. She's 15 and her account is public. I scroll through months of posts. Pictures with friends, selfies, dance recital photos. She's really into dance. That explains the charges for Little Stars Dance Studio on Dad's credit card. In some of her photos, I can see Dad in the background. Blurry, but definitely him. He looks relaxed, happy. Like he doesn't have another daughter sitting at home wondering why she's not enough. One post shows Sophie and her friends at some competition. They're all in matching costumes. Dad commented with a bunch of proud emojis. I click on his profile from the comment, but it's private. A whole separate account I never knew existed. Jack doesn't have social media because he's only 10. But he shows up in Sophie's posts all the time. Her annoying little brother. There's a video of him doing this silly dance in their kitchen. Sophie is filming and laughing. In the background, I can hear Dad laughing too. That sound. His laugh. The same laugh I've heard my whole life. It makes me physically sick. I drop my phone. Run to the bathroom. Throw up. Madison finds me an hour later. I'm back in her room. Staring at Sophie's Instagram again. She takes my phone gently. Puts it face down on the desk. Tells me stalking them online is only going to hurt me more. I know she's right, but I can't stop thinking about them. About Sophie posting videos of inside jokes and family moments. About having a sister who shares her life like that. About Jack doing silly dances while Dad laughs. About being part of a family that feels real instead of whatever mine is. A week crawls by. 7 days of pretending everything is normal when nothing will ever be normal again. I avoid both of them as much as possible. Come home late, leave early, eat dinner in my room claiming I have too much homework. Mom doesn't push. She watches me with those guilty eyes but keeps her distance like I asked. Dad seems oblivious. Or maybe he's just good at pretending. He's had 12 years of practice after all. Tuesday afternoon, I'm in my room doing actual homework when I hear the garage door open. Dad's home early. My stomach drops. He never comes home before 6 on weekdays. I hear him moving around downstairs. Footsteps in the kitchen, then on the stairs. Coming up. My door is closed but not locked. I stare at it, waiting for the knock. It comes soft. 3 taps. His voice comes through the wood asking if I have a minute to talk. My heart starts racing because I don't know if Mom told him. If he knows that I know. I force my voice to sound normal and tell him to come in. He opens the door slowly. Looks tired. His tie is loose and his jacket is draped over his arm. He asks if we can talk in his office downstairs. Says it's more comfortable. I follow him down the stairs, trying to keep my face blank. Trying not to let him see the anger burning in my chest. His office is at the end of the hall past the living room. Dark wood desk, leather chairs, shelves full of law books he probably never reads anymore. He sits behind the desk and gestures to the chair across from him. I sit down and grip the armrests. The leather is cold under my fingers. He leans back in his chair and studies my face for a second before speaking. Says he's noticed I've been distant lately. Asks if everything is okay with school and friends. He's using that concerned parent voice. The one that used to make me feel safe. Now it makes me want to scream. I tell him everything is fine. Try to stand up to leave, but he holds up his hand. He says he wants to make sure I know I can talk to him about anything. That he's always here for me no matter what. The words taste like lies even though his face looks sincere. I sit back down because my legs feel shaky. He keeps talking. Says he knows college applications are stressful, and he wants to help however he can. I nod and make non-committal sounds. Then he mentions he has a work trip this weekend. Asks if I want to do something special next week. Just the 2 of us. Father-daughter time. Maybe that new restaurant I've been wanting to try. The casual way he lies about the work trip breaks something inside me. I've been holding it together for a week. Playing along with Mom's silent agreement not to confront him yet. But I can't do it anymore. I look him straight in the eye and ask where he's really going this weekend. His face freezes. Just for a second. Then he recovers and repeats that it's a work trip to meet with clients. Standard stuff. His voice is smooth. Practiced. I stand up fast enough that the chair scrapes against the floor. Tell him I know about Michelle. About Sophie and Jack. About everything. The color drains from his face like someone pulled a plug. He sits there staring at me with his mouth slightly open. Then he sinks back into his desk chair like his bones turn to liquid. Asks what I'm talking about. Voice weak. Confused. But I see the fear in his eyes. The guilt. I cut him off before he can build up to a better lie. List everything I found. The credit card statements with charges in that other town. The burner phone with M saved as the only contact. The insurance documents listing Michelle Torres and Sophie Torres and Jack Torres as beneficiaries. The photos. Hundreds of photos of him with them. Living a whole other life. His denial crumbles as I talk. He just sits there behind his big lawyer desk looking smaller than I've ever seen him. When I finish, he doesn't try to argue. Doesn't try to explain it away. He just stares at me with this horrible mixture of fear and guilt and something that might be relief. Like part of him is glad he doesn't have to hide anymore. He asks how long I've known. Voice barely above a whisper. I tell him about the photo at dinner 2 weeks ago. The one that lit up his phone at the worst possible moment. He puts his head in his hands, elbows on the desk. I watch him trying to figure out what to say. How to make this okay. Finally, he looks up and says it's complicated. I laugh. Can't help it. The sound comes out bitter and harsh. Tell him that complicated is forgetting to pick me up from practice. That complicated is working late and missing dinner. That what he did isn't complicated. It's betrayal. He flinches like I hit him. I ask if he loves them. Michelle and Sophie and Jack. He says yes without hesitation. Then quickly adds that he loves me and Mom too. Loves all of us. I tell him that's not how love works. You don't get to have 2 complete families and claim you love everyone the same. He insists that he does. That he's tried his best to be there for everyone. Dad starts explaining. Says he met Michelle during a difficult time in his marriage to Mom. That things were bad between them. That Michelle made him feel alive again. By the time Sophie was born, he couldn't imagine leaving either family. He says he's been trying to be there for everyone. Provide for everyone. Make sure no one gets hurt. I ask if Michelle knows about us. About me and Mom. The silence that follows tells me everything. He can't even look at me. Just stares at his hands on the desk. A new wave of anger hits me. Michelle doesn't know. Which means Sophie and Jack don't know either. They think they're his only family. Just like I thought I was his only daughter until 2 weeks ago. We're all living in separate lies that he built and maintained. 3 different versions of reality that he keeps in neat little boxes. I tell him he's destroyed everything, that I don't know if I can ever trust him again, that every memory I have of him is tainted now because I don't know what was real. He starts crying, actual tears running down his face, reaches across the desk toward me, but I step back. He begs me not to tell Michelle, says it would destroy those kids, that Sophie and Jack are innocent in all this. They don't deserve to have their world fall apart. I realize he's more worried about protecting his other family than facing consequences with this one. More worried about Sophie and Jack than about me standing in front of him with my life in pieces. I turn and walk out of his office, leave him sitting there crying. Behind me, I hear Mom's voice. She's standing in the hallway. Must have heard everything. Her face doesn't look like my mom anymore. Something changed in the seconds it took her to walk from the hallway to Dad's office door. She moves past me without saying anything, opens the door, steps inside, closes it behind her with a soft click that somehow sounds louder than a slam. I stand there frozen for a second. Then I hear her voice. Low at first. Too quiet to make out words. I climb the stairs 2 at a time and shut myself in my room, put my headphones on, turn the music up as loud as it'll go. But I can still hear them through the floor. Mom's voice gets louder, sharp, cutting. Dad's voice rises to match hers. Words blur together into angry noise. I pull my knees to my chest and try to focus on the lyrics playing in my ears. The bass thumps. The singer screams about betrayal and broken promises. It almost drowns them out. Almost. Something crashes downstairs. Glass shattering. I flinch so hard I drop my phone. Mom's voice explodes into a scream. Not words, just rage. Pure and raw. I've never heard her sound like that. Never heard her raise her voice above annoyed. The yelling continues. Back and forth. Waves of anger crashing into each other. I check the time. 9:30. 10:15. 11. The sounds change. Footsteps pacing. A door slamming. More yelling, but farther away now. Like one of them moved to another room. Around midnight, everything goes quiet. The silence feels worse than the screaming. I take off my headphones and listen. Nothing. No voices. No movement. Just the hum of the air conditioning and my own breathing. I want to go downstairs. Check if they're okay. But my legs won't move. I'm scared of what I'll find down there. Scared of seeing Mom crying or Dad's face or the broken glass I heard shatter. I stay in my room. Lie in bed with my clothes still on. Stare at the ceiling. Don't sleep. Morning light comes through my window. I must have dozed off at some point because my neck hurts from the weird angle I was lying at. Downstairs, I hear sounds. Cabinet doors opening and closing. The clink of dishes. The smell of bacon drifts up through the vents. I get up slowly. Every muscle feels stiff. Walk to the bathroom and splash water on my face. Look at myself in the mirror. Eyes red and puffy. Hair sticking up in weird directions. I look like I feel. Like everything fell apart. I go downstairs. Mom's at the stove, spatula in hand, flipping bacon in a pan like it's any other Tuesday morning. She's wearing her usual weekend clothes, jeans and a soft sweater, hair pulled back in a ponytail. But her face looks different. Harder somehow, like someone drew her features with sharper lines. She turns when she hears me, tries to smile. It doesn't reach her eyes. Dad's car isn't in the driveway. I noticed when I looked out my window. The empty space where it usually sits feels like a missing tooth. Mom plates the bacon and sets it on the table. Pours orange juice into 2 glasses. Sits down across from me. I don't know what to say. She takes a sip of juice and looks at me over the rim of her glass. Tells me Dad's staying at a hotel for a few days. Just while they figure things out. Her voice sounds normal. Too normal. Like she practiced this speech. I push bacon around my plate with my fork. Ask if she's okay. She nods. Asks if I'm okay. I don't know how to answer that. I'm not okay. Nothing's okay. But I don't have words for what I'm feeling. So I just shrug. Mom sets down her glass, folds her hands on the table, looks at me with those hard new eyes, says she's filing for divorce. The words hang in the air between us. I thought I'd feel relieved. Thought I'd be glad she's finally leaving him. But instead, it feels like the last piece of my family just crumbled into dust. She explains that she was willing to live with the situation when she was the only one who knew, that she thought she was protecting me by keeping everything together. But now that I'm hurt, she can't justify staying anymore. Can't watch me suffer because of her choices. Her voice cracks on the last word. Just a little. Barely noticeable. But I catch it. I ask what happens to the other family. To Michelle and the kids. Mom's jaw tightens. Says that's not her problem. But her voice wavers when she says it. Like she's trying to convince herself. I point out that finding out the truth is going to destroy them. That Sophie and Jack have no idea their dad's been lying to them their whole lives. That they're going to feel exactly like I feel right now. Mom looks away. stares at the wall behind me, says they deserve to know their father is a liar, just like I deserve to know. That the truth always comes out eventually. Better now than after more years of lies. I want to argue. Want to say maybe they'd be better off not knowing. But I can't. Because I would have wanted to know. Would have wanted someone to tell me the truth instead of letting me live in a fantasy. The doorbell rings that afternoon. I'm in my room throwing clothes into a backpack, not really thinking about what I'm packing, just grabbing things. Mom answers the door downstairs. I hear voices, then footsteps on the stairs. My door opens and it's Madison. She takes one look at my face and the half-packed bag on my bed. Doesn't ask questions. Just comes in and starts helping me fold shirts. I tell her I can't stay here right now. Can't sleep in this house with the ghost of last night's fight hanging in the air. Can't sit at that table with Mom pretending everything's fine. Ask if I can stay with her family for a while. She doesn't hesitate. Says yes immediately. Grabs my bag and carries it downstairs while I follow with my laptop and charger. Mom's in the kitchen. Madison walks over and gives her a hug. Tells her she's taking me to her place for a bit. Mom nods. Looks relieved, actually. Like she needs space, too. She hugs me tight before we leave. Whispers that she loves me. I say it back. Mean it. Even though I'm angry at her. Even though I don't understand her choices. We drive to Madison's house in silence. Her mom, Karen, is waiting at the door when we pull up. Takes my bag without asking why I'm there. Shows me to their guest room. Clean sheets on the bed. Fresh towels folded on the dresser. She tells me I can stay as long as I need. That their home is my home. Then she leaves me alone to unpack. Living at Madison's house feels like stepping into a different dimension. Her parents got divorced when she was in 8th grade. But they're still friends. Still talk on the phone about Madison's schedule and school stuff. Her dad comes over for dinner sometimes. They laugh at each other's jokes. Make small talk about work and the weather. It's weird. Watching them be so normal about being broken. Madison splits time between both houses without drama. Goes to her dad's place every other weekend. Comes back with stories about his new girlfriend who's actually pretty cool. Nobody's lying. Nobody's pretending. They're just living their separate lives and making it work for Madison's sake. I watch them navigate their broken family with such ease. Wonder if that could ever be me and my parents. If we could ever get to a place where we're honest with each other. Where we can be in the same room without everything feeling fake. It seems impossible right now. But maybe someday. Karen makes dinner every night. Real meals with vegetables and conversation. Asks about my day. Tells stories about her work. Treats me like I belong there. Like I'm not an outsider crashing in their space. Madison and I stay up late watching shows and eating popcorn. She doesn't push me to talk about my feelings. Just sits next to me and exists. It helps more than talking would. My phone buzzes constantly. Dad calling. I don't answer. Let it go to voicemail. The first message is short. Just asking me to call him back. Says we need to talk. That he can explain everything better. The second message is longer. His voice sounds tired. Strained. He says he knows I'm angry. That I have every right to be. But he wants a chance to make me understand. The third and fourth messages say basically the same thing. Different words. Same meaning. Please talk to me. Please let me explain. The fifth message is different. His voice breaks. He's crying. Actually crying. Begging me to call him back. Saying he can't lose me. That I'm his daughter and he loves me more than anything. That he made terrible choices but they weren't because he doesn't love me. I delete it halfway through. Can't listen to him cry. Can't hear him beg. It makes me feel guilty even though I'm not the one who did anything wrong. Madison finds me staring at my phone. Asks if I'm okay. I show her the voicemail count. 15 messages. She takes my phone and blocks his number. Says I can unblock it when I'm ready. But right now I need space. She's right. I need space to breathe without him filling it with words. Mom texts me 3 days after I moved out. Short message. Says Dad's lawyer sent divorce papers. That she hired her own lawyer. Someone she found through a friend at work. She says the divorce will be messy. Dad's assets are tied up with both families. The house, the cars, his retirement accounts. Everything has to be split. But Michelle and the kids complicate things. They're on his insurance. His will. His bank accounts, probably. The lawyers have to figure out how to divide everything fairly. Or as fairly as possible when there's two families fighting for the same money. I text back asking if she's going to tell Michelle. If someone needs to warn her before the lawyers show up. Mom responds that her lawyer is handling everything. That Michelle will find out soon enough through official channels. It feels wrong. Letting some stranger in a suit tell Michelle that her whole life is a lie. But I don't know what else to do. I'm not going to be the one to call her. Not going to be the one to destroy another family even though Dad already did that part. 2 weeks pass. I settle into a routine at Madison's house. Wake up, go to class, come back, do homework. Eat dinner with people who tell the truth. It's nice. Peaceful. I almost forget about the chaos waiting for me back home. Almost. Then I get a message request on Instagram. From someone I don't follow. Sophie Torres. My hands start shaking before I even open it. The message is short, simple, direct. She asks if I'm her dad's daughter from his other family. Says someone told her the truth. Wants to know if it's real. I stare at the words. Read them over and over. Someone told her. Which means Michelle knows. Which means their whole family just exploded the same way mine did. I sit there holding my phone, trying to figure out how to respond. What do you say to your half-sister who just found out you exist? Who just found out her dad's been lying to her for her entire life? I type and delete about 10 different messages. Finally settle on something honest. Tell her yes. I'm his daughter. His other daughter. From his other family. Hit send before I can change my mind. She replies instantly. Asks if we can talk on the phone. I give her my number. 5 minutes later, my phone rings. Unknown number. I answer. Her voice catches when she says hello. Young. Shaky. Like she's been crying for hours. I press the phone against my ear so hard it hurts. Neither of us speaks for a few seconds. Just breathing on both ends of the line. Finally, she says her name even though I already know it. Sophie. I tell her mine. Another silence stretches between us. She clears her throat and asks if I'm really her sister. Half-sister. I say yes. She makes a sound that's half laugh, half sob. Says she didn't know I existed until 3 days ago. Her mom got a call from a lawyer about divorce papers. That's when everything came out. Michelle thought my dad was divorced from my mom years ago. Thought I was from some failed first marriage that ended badly. Sophie's voice breaks when she says her mom hasn't stopped crying. That she locked herself in her bedroom yesterday and wouldn't come out. That Jack keeps asking why everyone is sad and Sophie doesn't know what to tell him. He's only 10. Too young to understand that his whole life is a lie. I ask if she's okay, and immediately feel stupid, because of course she's not okay. Neither of us is okay. She says no. Says she's angry and confused and she doesn't understand how someone could do this. I tell her I've been asking myself the same thing for weeks. She asks what my mom is like. If she knew. I tell her yes. My mom knew for 8 years and stayed anyway. Sophie goes quiet again. Then she asks why. Why would my mom stay if she knew? I say I don't know. Money maybe. Fear. Mom said it was for me, but I don't believe that anymore. Sophie says her mom would never have stayed. That Michelle is the kind of person who tells the truth even when it hurts. I almost laugh because that's exactly what my mom isn't. We talk for over an hour and I learn things about my dad that feel wrong coming from someone else's daughter. Sophie says he helped her with algebra homework every Tuesday night. That he came to all her dance recitals at Little Stars. That he taught her how to ride a bike when she was 6. I tell her he did the same things with me. Tuesday dinners, school events, homework help. We're comparing notes on the same person living 2 completely different lives. She tells me about the beach trip they took last summer. I tell her about the camping trip we took the same month. We realize he was splitting his vacation time between both families, taking us on separate trips a week apart, planning everything so carefully that neither family suspected anything. Sophie starts crying again and says she doesn't know who he is anymore. That the dad she thought she knew wouldn't do something like this. I tell her I feel exactly the same way. That I keep looking back at every memory wondering what was real and what was performance. She asks if I hate her and Jack for existing. The question makes my chest hurt. I tell her no. That I'm angry at him. Not at her. Not at Jack. That none of this is their fault. She sounds relieved. Says she was scared I would blame them. That maybe I wouldn't want anything to do with them. I tell her honestly that I don't know what I want right now. That everything is too fresh and too raw. But I don't hate her. She asks if we could meet sometime. Maybe get coffee or something. I hesitate. Part of me wants to say yes immediately. Wants to know these people who share half my blood. But another part is scared. Scared of what it means. Scared of hurting my mom. Scared of making this whole situation more real. I tell her maybe. That I need time to process everything first. She says she understands. Before we hang up, she tells me she's glad I exist. Finding out she has a sister is the only good thing about this whole mess. I don't know what to say to that, so I just tell her to take care of herself. The call ends and I sit there staring at my phone. My hands are shaking. I feel completely empty. Like someone scooped out my insides and left nothing but a shell. But also lighter somehow. Like sharing this with someone who actually understands makes it less heavy. Madison finds me on her bedroom floor 20 minutes later. I'm still holding my phone, just staring at the wall. She sits down next to me and asks if I'm okay. I tell her about the call, about Sophie, about how she sounds exactly like me, lost and angry and trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. Madison listens without interrupting. When I finish, she says Sophie sounds like a good person, that we're both dealing with the same trauma from different angles. I nod because she's right. Sophie isn't the enemy here. Neither is Jack or Michelle. We're all just people my dad hurt because he couldn't tell the truth. Madison asks if I'm going to meet Sophie, and I say I don't know yet. That it feels too complicated. Too messy. She tells me I don't have to decide anything right now. That I can take as much time as I need. Karen knocks on the door and asks if we want dinner. I say I'm not hungry, but she insists I come down anyway. Says I need to eat something. We sit at their kitchen table and Karen makes spaghetti while Madison sets out plates. It feels normal. Safe. Like I can breathe here in a way I can't at home. After dinner, Karen mentions that she knows a good therapist. Someone who helped Madison's cousin through a rough patch. She writes down the name and number on a piece of paper. Daniela Lawson. Says I should at least think about it. That talking to someone professional might help me sort through everything. I take the paper and fold it into my pocket. 2 days later, I call the number. Daniela answers on the third ring. Her voice is calm and warm. She asks what brings me to therapy, and I give her the short version. Dad has 2 families. Mom knew and stayed. I just found out. Everything is falling apart. She doesn't sound shocked or judgmental. Just says she has an opening tomorrow afternoon if I want to come in. I say yes before I can change my mind. Her office is in a small building near the university. Comfortable chairs, soft lighting, plants in the corners. She's younger than I expected. Maybe 40. Dark hair pulled back. Kind eyes. She tells me to sit wherever I'm comfortable and I choose the chair by the window. For the first hour, I tell her everything. The photo at dinner, the evidence I found, confronting my mom, talking to Sophie. She listens without interrupting. Takes a few notes, but mostly just pays attention. When I finish, she says my feelings are valid. That what happened to me is a betrayal on multiple levels. That I'm allowed to be angry at both my parents for different reasons. I ask if she thinks I'm a bad person for talking to Sophie. For being curious about my half-siblings. Daniela shakes her head. Says curiosity is natural. That Sophie and Jack are victims too. That having a relationship with them doesn't mean I'm accepting what my dad did or betraying my mom. I'm allowed to be curious. Allowed to want to know them. Over the next few weeks, I see Daniela twice a week. We work through layers of anger and hurt I didn't know I had. She helps me understand that my mom's choice to stay wasn't really about me. That mom stayed because she was scared of being alone, scared of losing financial security, scared of what people would think, and she used me as an excuse, as justification for a choice she made for herself. This realization makes me angry at her in a new way. Not because she stayed, but because she lied about why. Because she made it seem like she was sacrificing for me when really she was protecting herself. Daniela also helps me work through my feelings about Sophie and Jack. She points out that they didn't ask to be born into this situation any more than I did. That they're dealing with the same confusion and pain. That getting to know them doesn't erase what happened, doesn't make it okay. But it might help all of us feel less alone. One evening, I'm in Madison's room doing homework when Karen calls up the stairs. Says someone is at the door for me. My stomach drops because I know who it is before I even go downstairs. Dad's car is in the driveway. I can hear his voice through the door. Karen is standing in the doorway blocking him. Her arms are crossed, face stern. He's trying to explain that he needs to see me, that we need to talk. Karen tells him firmly that I'm not ready to see him yet, that I'll reach out when I'm ready. He argues, says he's my father and he has a right to talk to me. Karen doesn't budge, tells him that I'm an adult and I get to decide who I talk to, that showing up uninvited isn't going to help his case. He tries again, but Karen just starts closing the door. Says if he doesn't leave, she'll call the police. He finally walks back to his car. Sits there for a minute like he's thinking about coming back. Then drives away. Karen closes the door and locks it. Turns to me and asks if I'm okay. I nod even though my hands are shaking. Madison appears at the top of the stairs. Looks at her mom and grins. Says she's scarier than she looks. Karen smiles and says someone has to protect the people who need it. I go back upstairs feeling grateful and exhausted. Grateful that Karen stood up for me when I couldn't stand up for myself. Exhausted from the constant weight of everything falling apart. Mom's phone call comes 3 days later while I'm in the middle of helping Karen fold laundry. Her voice sounds tired and flat when I answer. She tells me the divorce is getting messy because Dad's assets are tied up with both families. His lawyer is arguing that he has financial obligations to Michelle and the kids that need to be considered. Mom's lawyer is fighting to get her fair share of everything. She lists off numbers and percentages that make my head spin. Half of his retirement fund. Equity in 2 houses. Child support calculations that somehow involve 3 kids across 2 families. I press the phone harder against my ear and sit down on Karen's guest bed. Mom says Dad's lawyer is trying to paint him as a man who made mistakes, but has been supporting everyone financially for years. Her lawyer is arguing that mom deserves compensation for 12 years of lies and emotional distress. The whole thing sounds like a business negotiation instead of the end of a marriage. I ask mom if she's spoken to Michelle, and there's a long pause. She says no, they've only communicated through lawyers. Mom admits she feels guilty about Michelle finding out this way. But she's also angry that Michelle got to live in ignorance while mom knew the truth for years. Her voice cracks a little when she says it's a mess of competing hurts and nobody wins. I tell her I'm sorry this is happening, and she thanks me before hanging up. Karen appears in the doorway and asks if I'm okay. I nod, even though I'm not sure. My phone buzzes that night with a text from Sophie. She sent 3 pictures of her and Jack when they were little. The message says she thought I might want to see them. In the first photo, they're at a park with Dad pushing Jack on a swing. Sophie is maybe 8 and Jack is tiny, probably 3 or 4. Dad looks genuinely happy with his head thrown back laughing. The second picture shows them feeding ducks at a pond. The third is a selfie Sophie took with Dad making a silly face behind her. I stare at the photos for 10 minutes before I open my own camera roll. I scroll back years until I find similar pictures. Me at a park with Dad, me feeding ducks, me taking selfies with Dad making the same silly face. I send them to Sophie without any explanation. She responds immediately with 3 shocked emojis and then types out that the photos look almost identical. Same poses, same expressions, same dad living the same moments with different kids. We text back and forth for an hour comparing our childhoods like we're solving a puzzle. She tells me about the time Dad taught her to ride a bike, and I tell her about the time he taught me. Same patient voice, same running alongside until we got our balance, same proud smile when we finally did it alone. Sophie sends a crying, laughing emoji and says it's weird how he managed to be the same person in 2 completely different lives. I agree and tell her I don't know whether that makes it better or worse. Madison knocks on my door Friday night and tells me her family is having a movie night. Karen insists I join them instead of hiding in the guest room. I try to argue, but Madison grabs my arm and pulls me downstairs. The living room is set up with blankets and pillows on the couch. Karen has made popcorn, and Madison's little brother is scrolling through comedy options on the TV. They settle on something silly with stupid jokes and physical humor. For 2 hours, I almost forget about my imploding family. I laugh at the dumb scenes and steal popcorn from Madison's bowl. Karen makes comments about the terrible acting, and Madison's brother keeps pausing to explain jokes nobody asked about. When the movie ends, Karen turns off the TV and looks at me. She says healing isn't linear, and it's okay to have moments of normalcy mixed with the grief. Sometimes you need to laugh at stupid movies and eat too much popcorn. Sometimes you need to cry and be angry. Both are part of getting through hard things. I thank her and mean it. I decide to meet with Dad after a month of avoiding him. The decision comes suddenly one morning when I'm eating breakfast and realize I can't keep running forever. I text him and ask if he wants to meet at a coffee shop downtown. He responds in 30 seconds saying yes and asking when. We agree on Saturday afternoon. I spend the next 2 days feeling sick about it. Madison asks if I want her to come with me, but I say no. This is something I need to do alone. The coffee shop is busy when I arrive, and Dad is already sitting at a corner table. He looks terrible, like he hasn't been sleeping or eating properly. His shirt is wrinkled and he's lost weight. He stands up when he sees me, and I can tell he wants to hug me, but I sit down quickly. He sits back down and immediately starts apologizing. His words tumble out fast and desperate, trying to explain his choices and how things got so complicated. I cut him off and tell him I don't want excuses. I want the truth about specific things, and then I want him to listen. He closes his mouth and nods. I tell Dad that I talked to Sophie, and I know he lied to them about being divorced from Mom. His face goes pale and he looks down at his coffee cup. He admits he kept digging himself deeper into lies because he didn't know how to tell the truth. Each lie required another lie to cover it up. He says by the time Sophie was old enough to ask questions, he'd already built this whole story about his first marriage ending badly. I ask him if he ever planned to tell anyone, or if he was just going to maintain the lie forever. He looks ashamed and says he convinced himself he could keep both families happy, and that what they didn't know wouldn't hurt them. My hands grip the edge of the table hard. I tell him that's the most selfish thing I've ever heard, that his lies hurt everyone involved, that Sophie and Jack are devastated, that Michelle is destroyed, that Mom wasted years pretending, that I can't trust anything about my childhood anymore. He agrees and says he knows he destroyed multiple families with his choices. His eyes are wet, but I don't feel sympathy. I ask Dad if he regrets having Sophie and Jack. He looks up sharply and says no, he loves them. Then I ask if he regrets having me. He looks horrified and says of course not. I point out that he can't have it both ways. Either he regrets the situation or he doesn't regret any of us. But his actions hurt all of us regardless of what he feels. He opens his mouth and closes it several times without saying anything. I stand up and tell him I need a lot of time before I can have a relationship with him again. He nods quickly and says he understands. Then he asks if I'll keep talking to Sophie. I tell him that's between me and Sophie and it's not about him anymore. He looks like I slapped him but doesn't argue. I leave the coffee shop without looking back. Sophie and I start texting regularly after that. She tells me about her dance competitions and how she's trying out for the advanced team. I tell her about my college plans and my friends. We avoid talking about Dad most of the time and just get to know each other as people. She sends me videos of her dance routines and I send her pictures of places around town. She tells me about her favorite classes and I tell her about mine. Jack appears in some of her videos in the background being annoying, and she complains about him the way sisters do. I tell her about Madison and she says it sounds like I have a good best friend. The conversations feel strange but also right. Like we're building something new that isn't about Dad or the mess he created. Just two people who happen to share DNA trying to figure out if they can be friends. 3 months crawl by before the divorce papers arrive at Mom's lawyer's office with the judge's signature. She gets the house and 50% of Dad's retirement accounts plus half the value of his law practice. The settlement agreement lists every asset down to the furniture and dishes. Dad has to pay child support for Jack until he turns 18. Alimony to Michelle for the next decade. Spousal support to Mom for 5 years. His comfortable 6-figure lawyer salary now splits 3 ways, and I know from Mom's lawyer that he's already complaining about money. He moved into a small apartment near his office and drives a used car instead of the BMW he loved. The financial pressure is real and immediate, and part of me feels satisfied watching him struggle with the consequences. Mom signs the final papers on a Tuesday afternoon and calls me from the lawyer's office. Her voice sounds different. Lighter. Like she's been holding her breath for years and finally let it out. She comes home that evening and makes dinner for the first time in weeks. Real dinner with vegetables and everything. We sit at the kitchen table, just the two of us, and she pushes food around her plate before looking up at me. She says she's sorry for lying all those years. That she should have left when she first found out about Michelle and the kids. That she was scared of being alone and worried about money, and used me as an excuse to stay when really she was protecting herself. Her eyes fill up, but she doesn't cry. I tell her I'm working on forgiving her, but I'm not there yet. That it still hurts knowing she chose to pretend instead of dealing with the truth. She nods and says she understands. That she'll wait as long as it takes for me to trust her again. I move back home 2 weeks after the divorce finalizes. Madison helps me pack my stuff from her guest room and her mom hugs me goodbye and makes me promise to visit. Living with Mom feels strange at first because we're different people now than we were before everything exploded. We talk more. Real conversations instead of surface-level small talk about school and weather. She tells me about her fears when she first discovered Dad's other family. How she almost left but convinced herself staying was better for me. How she regrets wasting years in a fake marriage. I tell her about my therapy sessions with Daniela, and how I'm learning to separate my anger at Dad from my feelings about Sophie and Jack. How talking to Sophie helped me realize they're victims too. Mom listens without interrupting and admits she never thought about how Michelle's kids were affected. We're building something new between us. Something honest. Sophie texts me one morning asking if I want to meet in person. The message sits on my phone for an hour before I respond. Part of me is terrified to see her face to face instead of through photos and videos. But another part needs to know if we can actually be sisters instead of just two people who share DNA. I text back yes, and we spend the next 3 days figuring out logistics. We agree on a restaurant halfway between our towns. Some chain place with booths and mediocre food. The drive there takes 90 minutes and my hands shake on the steering wheel the entire time. I park in the lot and sit in my car for 10 minutes trying to calm down. Then I see her standing near the entrance looking at her phone and I recognize her immediately. Same dark hair as Dad. Same way of standing with one hip cocked. I get out of the car and walk toward her and she looks up and our eyes meet. The first few minutes are painfully awkward. We hug, but it's stiff and weird. We get a table and order drinks and stare at our menus without really reading them. Then Sophie makes a joke about how this is the strangest blind date ever, and I laugh so hard I snort. The tension breaks and we start talking for real. She tells me about her dance team and how they placed second at regionals. About her best friend who's boy crazy and drives her nuts. About Jack being annoying but also sweet. I tell her about Madison and college plans and how therapy is helping me process everything. We talk for 3 hours straight through lunch and coffee refills. The waitress keeps checking on us, and we keep ordering things we don't really want just to stay longer. I notice she has Dad's sense of humor, the way she makes sarcastic comments and timing her jokes perfectly. But she also has this stubborn streak that reminds me of Mom. Jack is with Michelle today, but Sophie shows me videos on her phone. Him doing a silly dance. Him trying to do a backflip and failing. He seems like a good kid, goofy and energetic. Before we leave the restaurant, Sophie asks if we can do this again. Maybe in a few months when things settle down more. I say yes without hesitating. She tells me Michelle is still really hurt and angry about everything. She's going to therapy too and trying to figure out how to co-parent with Dad now that the truth is out. Sophie mentions that Dad is trying harder to be present for them now. Showing up to her dance competitions, taking Jack to baseball practice. But it's different from before. like he's trying to prove something instead of just being their dad. She says it feels forced and uncomfortable. I understand exactly what she means because my relationship with Dad feels the same way. We hug goodbye in the parking lot, and this time it feels more real. Like we're actually building something instead of just going through motions. College starts in August, and I move into the dorms with Madison as my roommate. We requested each other and got lucky with assignments. The betrayal changed me in ways I'm still figuring out, but it taught me things too. About the importance of honesty even when it's hard. About choosing yourself when necessary instead of sacrificing everything for other people's comfort. Madison and I decorate our dorm room and meet people in our hall and go to orientation events. Karen texts me regularly, asking how I'm doing and if I need anything. She checks on me like a second mom, and I'm grateful for her presence in my life. Classes start, and I throw myself into schoolwork and making new friends, building a life that's mine instead of defined by my family's mess. 6 months after everything fell apart, I'm in a different place than I was at that Tuesday dinner table when Dad's phone lit up. Sophie and I text every few days, and we're planning another meetup for Thanksgiving break. Mom and I are rebuilding trust slowly through honest conversations and shared dinners. Dad and I talk occasionally, but it's surface-level stuff about school and weather. He asks if I need money or help with anything. I keep him at arm's length because I don't know if we'll ever get back what we lost. Maybe we won't. Maybe this is what our relationship looks like now. I'm learning that family is complicated and messy. People make choices that hurt the ones they love. That sometimes the best you can do is move forward with the people who choose honesty over comfort. I'm not okay yet. Some days are harder than others. But I'm getting there. Building a life that feels real instead of performed. And that's enough for now.